Alright, today we're going to be going ahead and discussing if whether or not the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet TCG set of Paradox Rift is worth investing in. So, for starters, let's get the facts out of the way. Paradox Rift, less than a year old as of right now. It came out November 3rd of 2023. The set list is pretty massive. There is 265-ish, 266-ish, forget the exact count, around that many cards in the set, with 182 being in the base set and the remainder being secret rares, which is quite a lot of secret rares. Is definitely a big step up from the Sword and Shield era where, you know, we would have a few secret rares here and there, probably more than a few, but it seems like the Scarlet and Violet era is just pumping secret rares out, so I guess that could be a plus. But let's talk about a few things. Number one, is this set difficult to acquire as of right now? The answer to that, absolutely not. This is a very widely released set. It is still en masse in shelves. You can find it at Walmart, you can find it at Target, your local game store, etc. So Paradox Rift is still plentiful out there. It's on the Pokemon Center as well, so plenty of supply for Paradox Rift still out there. Now, is it a fun set to open? I would wager yes it is. There's some really good potential for chase cards. There's some high value cards. As most of the Scarlet and Violet sets are, you have plenty of opportunity to pull different tiers of rarity. Comes with a holo no matter what. You can pull illustration rares, you can pull EXs, you can pull full arts, terastallized, gold cards, IRs, SIRs. It is insane. There's so much to pull, especially with the Scarlet and Violet era. So yes, it is a fun set to open. Now, how was this set received? So Scarlet and Violet has been under scrutiny for quite some time, I will say, but it has definitely been turning around. Scarlet and Violet has been appreciated more as the months have gone on, especially as the Sword and Shield era has officially come to an end. It is so difficult now to find cheap priced Sword and Shield packs, at least the ones that you want, the good ones, right? So everybody's turning their heads and looking towards the Scarlet and Violet era, as now the older sets, so Scarlet and Violet Base, Paldea Evolved, etc., they're kind of becoming more phased out / a little bit harder to come by in the wild, right? So before we get further on into discussing if now is the best time to pick it up, we're going to look at some facts. So we have the top 12 most expensive singles coming from Paradox Rift. We're going to take a look at them and their data over the course of the year. Then we have about 5 or so different sealed products that we're going to take a look at the exact same set of data for. But first, let's start off with the singles. Alright, our data obviously comes from TCG Player, and as mentioned before, we have as far back as, well, what would be pre-release, so mid-October, give or take. And the data obviously goes all the way up until now, August 13th, give or take. It's probably a few days behind. But starting off at number 12, so the 12th most expensive card to come out of Paradox Rift is the Yveltal Illustration Rare card. This is a beautiful card. It's one of my personal chases, although I'd probably rather just buy it. I have it in the Japanese version of the set, but I don't have it in English. Let's go ahead and take a look at some values. So we have as far back as pre-release, which is $11.99. That is on October 16th. Then let's see if we can find around release. I think we can go back as November 6th, which would be around the release date of November 3rd, $5.91. So as per usual, pre-release things are up and then release things drop down. However, if we take a look at the actual data, so looking at the low would be December 11th, $4.73. It's high though, relatively recently, June 17th, $17.16, and its current value goes for $15.48, which is more than its pre-release value. Next up, we take a look at the Tapu Koko EXSIR. In case I did not mention it last time, the Yveltal was just an illustration rare. This one is an SIR, so there's, I guess, technically a little more novelty, a little more rarity to it, potentially a little more difficult to pull. This is Tapu Koko, very beautiful artwork. The colors are very vibrant and yeah, very blocky. Let's go ahead and take a look at some values. So we as far back as October 23rd, $21.40. That of course is pre-release. We go to November 6th, which would be around release day, $18.88. Now, It does appear that pre-release is its high at the $21.40 mark. However, its low is about here, April 22nd, $10.75, where its current value is $15.72. Then we move on to the 10th most expensive card to be coming out of Paradox Rift, and potentially to nobody's surprise that this card is on this list, as it was very popular when it first came out. We have Parasol Lady. This is the SIR, the Special Illustration Rare. Obviously, yes, Scarlet and Violet now has the alt art or SIR cards for the trainer cards, which I think is a smart move. Fantastic stuff. Let's look at the data here. We have October 16th pre-release, $39.88, which is just under $40. About here, give or take, November 6th, we have $29.17, which would be around release day. And then it appears that over here would be its low, April 15th, $15.47. And its current value goes for $16.90. Then moving on to number 9 for this list, we have the Steelix Illustration Rare. This is, for quite some time, it was quite a slept on card. Nobody really appreciated it too much. It's clearly seeing its time in the limelight though for desirability and pickups. It's fantastic artwork. You have Steelix on construction grounds. Yeah, it's a fantastic card. Let's go ahead and take a look at some data. Pre-release $13.32. Around release time $9.48. And good news for this card, its low was December 11th, which was $9.30. Its high appears to be around May 20th, $26.11, and its current value goes for $17.75. Then we look at the 8th most expensive card on this list, and we're brought to Garchomp EX SIR. This is a really nice card, and to be honest, for a while I thought this would be the most expensive card to be coming out of Paradox Rift. However, it is not, as obviously it's number 8. But I do sort of understand why. While the artwork is fantastic, it could have done a little bit more to really show the personality of this Pokemon, maybe a little more vibrance and a little more action going on, as Garchomp is quite the wild Pokemon, but that's just my opinion there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some values. We have pre-release as far back as we can go, $41.99. We take a look at November 6th, $25.37, which is again around release day. It looks like its high would have been pre-release. Its low, March 4th at $16, and its current value goes for $17.88. So everybody, I would like to apologize. I did misclick before, and I added only 11 instead of the 12 most expensive singles, because apparently I somehow added a sealed product in the place of one of them. So this card is technically number 12. So let's just go ahead and move everything up one. Professor Sada's Vitality, the SIR, would go at the very back of this list. This is a very nice card. Again, it's a trainer card that features some fantastic stuff. Again, nothing really changes with the list. It's just this card goes at the back and everything gets pushed up one. So my bad on the counter there. But let's go ahead and take a look at some values for this card before we move into the remainder of this list. So actually, quite interestingly, for pre-release, this card did have one of the more expensive values that we've seen thus far. October 16th, $39.66, and then it looks like its release day price is $28.72. Pre-release would have been its high, and it looks like it's unfortunately currently at its low mark of $14.66. So sorry about that confusion before. We are now in the number 6 spot. So this is the 6th most expensive card to be coming out of Paradox Rift. So we have the Goldango EX. This is an SIR, a special illustration rare. It features the close-up, unintentionally gold and black version of a Pokemon card. The reason I say that is because in the Sword and Shield era, the black and gold version of Pokemon cards were obviously the gold cards, and yeah, they were highly coveted. They were nice cards. It was in the place, I believe, in a lot of trainer gallery / reverse spots. Like you had the Ice Rider and Shadow Rider Calyrex cards, the Urshifu cards, Pikachu, Mew, etc. You had a bunch of those, so this one is almost reminiscent of that, but not quite. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at some values. So for pre-release, this card, quite a value here. October 16th, $86.48. Not bad. That also does happen to be its high though. Then for release day, we have $40.56. Sorry, $37.63. That was 1 week after. $37.63. And its current value, which is actually not its low, is $20.26, where its low is $18.28 on April 29th. Then we move into the top 5. So the 5th most expensive card to be coming out of Paradox Rift is the Iron Hands EX SIR. This is the future card of, I believe, Hariyama. I'm not entirely sure though. Pretty sure it is though from this angle. So yeah, it's the SIR. This card is very reminiscent of what we see nowadays with the illustrations of Scarlet and Violet Era, where it's the Pokemon in a very small section and the rest happens to be a landscape or a picture of some sort. Very big with the Scarlet and Violet Era for that aesthetic. Let's go ahead and take a look at some values. So we have pre-release of October 9th, $25. That's honestly a pretty low price for pre-release considering release day, it was $35.55. Its high is around $37.79. Yeah, $37.79. There's a close one on October 30th of $37.59, but yeah, $37.79 would be its high, and that is on March 25th. Its low is pretty obviously February 12th, $21.05, and its current value goes for $25.25. We then move on to Iron Valiant EX, which is another SIR. You probably get the picture of what's happening here, except the picture is not quite what you think is going to be happening here, at least for the next one. Anyways, we'll talk about that in a bit. Iron Valiant EX SIR, fantastic looking card. Look at this artwork. It is simply beautiful. You have the Tyranitar, you have, oh boy, Delibird. Yeah, Delibird over there. You have Volcarona, and yeah, it is such a fantastic piece of art with Iron Valiant, which is obviously supposed to be, I want to say Gallade. I don't quite know if it would be Gardevoir, but I believe it's supposed to be Gallade, right? Awesome card. Looks fantastic. Let's look at some values. We have October 9th, $50. So that's pre-release. It looks like release is $59.27. Its high would be November 20th, so shortly after, $71.21. Its low, however, is about here on March 4th, $27.24. And its current value goes for $28.11. Entering into the top 3 most expensive cards, we have the Altaria EX from Paradox Rift. Again, you kind of have that similar aesthetic with this card where you have your Pokemon and then you have the landscape. However, we did see something similar to this in the Lost Origin set of Sword and Shield with the Aerodactyl alternate art card, where it was Aerodactyl kind of flying over that Jurassic period looking landscape. This is in the same vein to me, but probably not quite the exact same. Let's look at some values that we have. Pre-release October 16th, $29.99. Then it looks like release day is $26.81. And our low, well, it might be a little tricky to point out, might be March 4th, $19.41. Our high is May 27th, $44.86. And our current value goes for $30.11. Now for our second most expensive card to be coming out of Paradox Rift, we have the Groudon Illustration Rare. Now the reason I was kind of blabbering on before, I think it was around the Iron Valiant area, was because of this card. The second most expensive is an IR, which is not uncommon for the Scarlet and Violet Era, as we see with the Magikarp, for example. And I believe they're in Paldea Evolved, maybe. There is also a Tyranitar, which is up there as well. So yeah, definitely some not maybe expected hitters to be in the top polls, the top most expensive cards, but definitely cool that an illustration rare broke even the top 2, right? The top 5, but the top 2, imagine that, right? Groudon, amazing looking artwork here. You have the lava, the land meets the sea. One day we hope that we'll see the reverse of this card where, say, Kyogre is maybe in the bottom over here or something like that. I'm sure that might come, but let's look at some values. We have October 16th, $22.54. That's pre-release. Release is $28.11. That's around the November 6th area. It looks like pre-release might be its lowest value. We have March 25th, $23.48, and then pre-release, yeah, $22.54, not bad. Its high was on May 27th, $64.28, and its current value goes for $47.21. And the most expensive card to be coming out of Paradox Rift is the Roaring Moon EX Special Illustration Rare. This one is, yeah, more than likely, in my opinion, my favorite card coming from the set. It was between this card and the Garchomp that I thought would perform the best, and turns out it is the Roaring Moon. This has a lot better artwork, in my opinion. Again, I'm not necessarily discrediting the artist. I guess I'm just trying to say that Roaring Moon is more in its element here. You can kind of see its personality. This is definitely, is it Ground Zero, Area Zero? I forget what it's called in the games, right? We just have a better overall aesthetic as to what Roaring Moon's personality is, which in turn, in my opinion, increases the value of the card and the desirability, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at some values. We have October 9th, $74.99. That's pre-release. It looks like release, November 6th area, $100.57. Definitely not bad. Its high would have been October 30th, $114.61, which is still in the pre-release area. Then we look for its low, roughly May 13th, $52.43. Actually, funny enough, I think that's, oh, never mind. I thought that was its current value. It's not. $56.12 is its current value. So the most expensive single coming out of Paradox Rift is just over the $55 mark. All right, everybody, now we're going to switch our gears to the sealed product. We're probably not going to focus too long on the first four, as with very modern stuff to have been released, we hardly ever see movement with the lower tier, the less expensive, the less quantity of pack kind of products. We really only see movement with booster boxes, right? So we're not going to focus too long on, say, the sleeved booster pack. So we'll just go through the basics. We have pre-release going as far back as September 25th, $5.87 for the single sleeve booster pack, which obviously comes with one booster pack. That is its high. Its low appears to be here, May 13th, $2.77, and its current value goes for $3.24. Then we switch the conversation over to the Paradox Rift 3-pack blister. This comes with 3 Paradox Rift cards and 1 promo card. Interestingly enough, for the Scarlet and Violet Era, they took out the play coin, which as a player, or sorry, somebody who doesn't play, right, I'm not necessarily upset about it. I wonder if they took it out to try and lower the costs of the 3-pack blisters, because they already had to increase the prices of the packs due to adding more holographics and more foil in general, right? So I wonder if that's why they took it out, to decrease the potential for more costs. Let's go ahead and take a look at some values. So we have August 28th, pretty far back, $19.49. That does appear to be its high, $19.49, and its low is actually where it appears to be right now at $11.74. We then move into our third sealed product. So this is the Paradox Rift Booster Bundle, which features 6 Pokemon TCG Paradox Rift booster packs. So obviously not bad at all. This is probably more so what players and collectors want nowadays, as opposed to the build and battle kit where you only get 4, as well as 1 stamped promo. Spoiler alert, the build and battle is not on here, but I just threw the booster bundle on here. So let's take a look at some values. We have August 14th, which is just about a year ago, pretty impressive, $29.97. That does appear to be its high. Its low looks to be over here, November 20th, $21.39, and its current value goes for $24.04. All right, slowly stepping up the game, but not quite where we want to be just yet, is the Paradox Rift Elite Trainer Box. So this is the Roaring Moon version. There's also the Iron Valiant version, I believe. Is it Iron Valiant? It should be. Yeah, it should be Iron Valiant. There's also the version of that one. I believe they both come with the same promo card, which is Screamtail. Or no, hang on. One full art promo card featuring Screamtail or Iron Bundle. Okay, I think this one is the Iron Bundle and the other one is Screamtail. Yeah, I believe that's what it is. So that's kind of cool that they do that. So there is desirability to either pick up both ETBs or at the very least just buy the other promo card, which is probably for the better. But if you really wanted to rip, right, you buy both ETBs. We just picked this one. This is the more expensive ETB. So let's go ahead and take a look. We have pretty much a year ago, $48.32, which is crazy pre-release items. or crazy pre-release timing, I should say, that does happen to be its high as well. Now, its low is roughly over here on May 6th, $31.62, and its current value goes for $36.42. Now, the moment I've been waiting for, and I hope you've all been waiting for, and probably the center focus of this conversation, is the Paradox Rift booster box. So this booster box comes with 36 packs, right? Plain and simple. It is kind of the creme de la creme, like the main thing investors look at in terms of picking up modern, vintage, kind of that in-between area, right? Everybody looks into booster boxes and ETBs, but more so booster boxes, right? They are the beginning, the stand of time, base set, everything afterwards. You always have a booster box, right? Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some value. So we have August 21st, close to a year ago, $115.47. That does appear to almost be its high, I think. Yeah, $115.52 on October 9th, which is still its pre-release, but just a few cents more expensive. Let's look at release day, $98.84. And then from there, did dip down a little bit, where it looks like its low was December 11th, $89.52. However, since then has increased a little bit, where its current value is $100.93. All right, everybody, that concludes the data that we're going to take a look at for Paradox Rift. I find Paradox Rift to be such a fascinating Pokemon card set to look at, because it's not quite 151, yet it's not quite Obsidian Flames, right? It's kind of in that in-between area where it's difficult to tell what the future will be for this set. However, it is definitely not one of the worst sets that you can pick up, right? People do enjoy opening it. There's some really great pulls, as we've seen. There's some excellent chase cards. Will this set blast off like, say, Twilight Masquerade has, or 151, even Paldean Fates, maybe Paldea Evolved? I'm not sure. That's a really tough question, but I can say this from the caliber of the pulls and how exciting this set actually is. I don't think it's a bad idea to potentially pick up Paradox Rift before it starts to get phased out. Now, it's only a year old. Probably going to see it for another year at the very least, right? But sooner or later, Paradox Rift will get phased out, and then what are you going to do, right? What are you going to open? What are you going to say? What are you going to keep sealed? Are you going to regret it? Who knows, right? But it's at $100 right now. It's one of the more favored sets, I would say, from Scarlet and Violet Era. And again, the conversation in heads of collectors and investors is turning towards Scarlet and Violet as Sword and Shield is slowly getting phased out, right? It's harder to find Sword and Shield now, so people are going to take out their need and desires for buying sealed product and buying singles on Paradox Rift. So may not be a bad idea to look into getting a booster bundle. Sorry, a booster box, not a booster bundle. Probably don't want to waste your time with a booster bundle right now. But a booster box may not be a bad discussion to have, right? Now, in terms of singles, I think Scarlet and Violet singles are still very volatile. I wouldn't pick anything up expecting good returns. Maybe just pick up what you want, and if it goes up, it goes up. That's awesome. If it goes down, it unfortunately goes down, right? But the conversation should be on sealed, and I think for a long time, at least until Scarlet and Violet is phased out, booster boxes would be the main way to see return on investments, right? Appreciation. So may not be a bad idea to look into purchasing a booster box of Paradox Rift, but that's just my opinion, and it is not financial advice. It's something I would consider doing. What do you think of Paradox Rift as a set? I'd love to know, and I'll catch you in the next one.